Darth Vader. Darth Vader, also known by his birth name Anakin Skywalker, is a fictional character in the Star Wars franchise. Vader appears in the original film trilogy as a pivotal antagonist whose actions drive the plot, while his past as Anakin Skywalker and the story of his corruption are central to the narrative of the prequel trilogy. The character was created by George Lucas and has been portrayed by numerous actors. His appearances span the first 6 Star Wars films, as well as Rogue One, and his character is heavily referenced in Star Wars: The Force Awakens. He is also an important character in the Star Wars expanded universe of television series, video games, novels, literature, and comic books. Originally a Jedi prophesied to bring balance to the Force, he falls to the dark side of the Force and serves the evil Galactic Empire at the right hand of his Sith master, Emperor Palpatine. He is also the father of Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia Organa, secret husband of Padmé Amidala, and grandfather of Kylo Ren. Darth Vader has become one of the most iconic villains in popular culture, and has been listed among the greatest villains and fictional characters ever. The American Film Institute listed him as the 3rd greatest movie villain in cinema history on 100 years, 100 heroes and villains, behind Hannibal Lecter and Norman Bates. However, other critics consider him a tragic hero, citing his original motivations for the greater good before his fall to the dark side. Concept and writing. In the first draft of the Star Wars, tall, grim General Darth Vader was already close in line with his final depiction, and the protagonist, Anakin Starkiller, had a role similar to Luke Skywalker's as the 16-year-old son of a respected warrior. After the success of the original Star Wars series, creator George Lucas hired science fiction author Leigh Brackett to write the sequel with him. They held story conferences and, by late November 1977, Lucas had produced a handwritten treatment. The treatment is similar to the final film, except that Vader does not reveal he is Luke's father. In the first draft that Brackett would write from this, Luke's father appears as a ghost to instruct Luke. Lucas was disappointed with the script, but Brackett died of cancer before he could discuss it with her. With no writer available, Lucas had to write the next draft himself. In this draft, he made use of a new plot twist, Vader claiming to be Luke's father. According to Lucas, he found this draft enjoyable to write, as opposed to the year-long struggles writing the first film. The new plot element of Luke's parentage had drastic effects on the series. Michael Kaminsky argues in his book that it is unlikely that the plot point had ever seriously been considered or even conceived of before 1978, and that the first film was clearly operating under an alternate storyline, where Vader was a separate character from Luke's father. After writing the second and third drafts in which the plot point was introduced, Lucas reviewed the new backstory he had created. Anakin had been Obi-Wan Kenobi's brilliant student, and had a child named Luke, but was swayed to the dark side by Palpatine. Anakin battled Kenobi on the site of a volcano and was badly wounded, but was then reborn as Vader. Meanwhile, Kenobi hid Luke on Tatooine while the Galactic Republic became the tyrannical Galactic Empire, and Vader systematically hunted down and killed the Jedi. This change in character would provide a springboard to the tragedy of Darth Vader storyline that underlies the prequel trilogy. After deciding to create the prequel trilogy, Lucas indicated the series would be a tragic one depicting Anakin's fall to the dark side. He also saw that the prequels could form the beginning of one long story that started with Anakin's childhood and ended with his death. This was the final step towards turning the film series into a saga. For the first prequel, Star Wars Episode I: The Phantom Menace, Lucas made Anakin 9 years old to make the character's separation from his mother more poignant. Movie trailers focused on Anakin, and a one-sheet poster showing him casting Vader's shadow informed otherwise unknowing audiences of the character's eventual fate. The movie ultimately achieved a primary goal of introducing audiences to Anakin. Michael Kaminsky, in The Secret History of Star Wars, offers evidence that issues in Anakin's fall to the dark side prompted Lucas to make massive story changes, first revising the opening sequence of the third prequel, Revenge of the Sith, to have Palpatine kidnapped and his apprentice, Count Dooku, killed by Anakin as the first act in the latter's turn towards the dark side. After principal photography was complete in 2003, Lucas made even more massive changes in Anakin's character, rewriting his entire turn to the dark side. His fall from grace would now be motivated by a desire to save his wife Padmé Amidala, rather than the previous version in which that reason was one of several, including that he genuinely believed that the Jedi were plotting to take over the Republic. This fundamental rewrite was accomplished both through editing the principal footage, and new and revised scenes filmed during pickups in 2004. During production of the Clone Wars TV series, Ahsoka Tano was developed to illustrate how Anakin develops from the brash, undisciplined Padawan apprentice in Attack of the Clones to the more reserved Jedi Knight in Revenge of the Sith. Clone Wars supervising director and Rebels co-creator Dave Filoni said that giving Anakin responsibility for a Padawan was meant to place the character in a role that forced him to become more cautious and responsible. It would also give him insight into his relationship with Obi-Wan, and depict how their relationship matured. Ahsoka and Anakin's relationship was seen as an essential story arc spanning both the animated film and Clone Wars television series. Filoni began thinking about the final confrontation between Ahsoka and Vader ever since he created Ahsoka. Different iterations had different endings, including one in which Vader kills Ahsoka just as she slashes open his helmet to reveal Anakin's scarred face. Ahsoka's presence in Star Wars Rebels was necessary to allow Darth Vader to encounter the show's lead characters without the latter being destroyed. Ahsoka can stand toe-to-toe with Vader in Rebels' recon of the episode The Holocrons of Fate. Filoni reveals that he has always felt that one of the reasons for Anakin's turn to the dark side was the lack of compassion of the Jedi. In their dedication to selflessness, they almost forgot to care. Portrayals. Physically portrayed Darth Vader in the original film trilogy, provided the voice of Darth Vader in the original trilogy and Rogue One. Darth Vader was portrayed by bodybuilder David Prowse in the original film trilogy, and by stunt performer Bob Anderson during the character's intense lightsaber fight scenes. Lucas originally intended for Orson Welles to voice Vader. After deciding that Welles' voice would be too recognizable, he cast the lesser-known James Earl Jones instead. Jones initially felt his contributions to the films were too small to warrant recognition, and his role was uncredited at his request until the release of Return of the Jedi, when Jones was specifically asked if he had supplied Vader's voice for Revenge of the Sith, either newly or from a previous recording. Jones answered, "You'd have to ask Lucas about that. I don't know." The character has also been voiced by Scott Lawrence and Matt Sloan for several video games. Hayden Christensen and Gene Bryant alternately portray Vader in Revenge of the Sith. During the production of Revenge of the Sith, Christensen asked Lucas if a special Vader suit could be constructed to fit his own body, rather than have a different actor don one of the original sets of Vader armor worn by Prowse. Brock Peters provided the voice of Darth Vader in the NPR USC radio series. Both Spencer Wilding and Daniel Napris portrayed Vader in Rogue One, with Jones reprising his role as the character's voice. During production of Return of the Jedi, the casting crew sought an experienced actor for the role of Anakin Skywalker, since his death was unquestionably the emotional climax of the film, and Sebastian Shaw was selected for the role. When Shaw arrived at the set for filming, he ran into his friend Ian McDiarmid, the actor playing the Emperor. When McDiarmid asked him what he was doing there, Shaw responded, "I don't know, dear boy. I think it's something to do with science fiction." His presence during the filming was kept secret from all but the minimum cast and crew, and Shaw was contractually obliged not to discuss any film secrets with anyone, even his family. The unmasking scene, directed by Richard Marquand, was filmed in one day, and required only a few takes, with no alteration from the original dialogue. Lucas personally directed Shaw for his appearance in the final scene of the film, in which he is a Force ghost of Anakin. Shaw's image in this scene was replaced with that of Christensen in the 2004 DVD release. This last attempt to tie the prequel and original trilogies together proved to be possibly the most controversial change in the Star Wars re-releases. Shaw received more fan mail and autograph requests from Return of the Jedi than he had for any role in the rest of his career. He later reflected that he very much enjoyed his experience filming for Return of the Jedi, and expressed particular surprise that an action figure was made of him from the film. When The Phantom Menace was being produced, hundreds of actors were tested for the role of young Anakin before the producers settled on Jake Lloyd, who Lucas considered met his requirements of a good actor, enthusiastic and very energetic. Producer Rick McCallum said that Lloyd was smart, mischievous, and loves anything mechanical just like Anakin. During production of Attack of the Clones, casting director Robin Gerland reviewed about 1,500 other candidates for the role of the young adult Anakin before Lucas eventually selected Hayden Christensen for the role. When Revenge of the Sith was being produced, Christensen and Ewan McGregor began rehearsing their climactic lightsaber duel long before Lucas would shoot it. They trained extensively with stunt coordinator Nick Gillard to memorize and perform their duel together. As in the previous two prequel films, McGregor and Christensen performed their own lightsaber fighting scenes without the use of stunt doubles. Anakin has also been voiced by Matt Lucas for the 2003 micro-series Star Wars: Clone Wars, and by Matt Lanter in the CGI animated film Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the television series of the same name, and for Anakin's cameos in Star Wars Rebels. For Vader's appearances in the Star Wars Rebels animated series, James Earl Jones has reprised the voice role. Both Lanter and Jones contributed their voices for the second season finale of Rebels, at times with identical dialogue spoken by both actors blended together in different ways. Design. Vader initially appears in the original trilogy wearing a black armored suit, which was based on the armor used by Japanese samurai. Vader's mask was originally designed by Ralph McQuarrie as part of Vader's spacesuit, and not intended to be part of the regular costume. Brian Muir sculpted Vader's costume based on McQuarrie's design. The sound of the character's mask's respirator function is trademarked in the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office under trademark 7,419,252. and is officially described in the documentation as the sound of rhythmic, mechanical human breathing created by breathing through a scuba tank regulator. Appearances. Darth Vader appears in 7 of the 8 live-action Star Wars films, and the Clone Wars animated film and spin-off series. He has a recurring role in Star Wars Expanded Universe material. Original Trilogy. Darth Vader first appears in the original 1977 Star Wars film as a ruthless cyborg serving the Galactic Empire. He is tasked, along with Imperial Commander Grand Moff Tarkin, to recover the secret technical plans for the Death Star, which were stolen by the Rebel Alliance. Vader captures and tortures Princess Leia Organa, who has hidden the plans inside the droid R2-D2, and sent it to find Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi on the planet Tatooine. During Leia's rescue, Vader kills Obi-Wan in a lightsaber duel, having placed a tracking device aboard the Millennium Falcon. Vader is able to track down the Rebels' base on the planet Yavin 4. During the Rebels' attack on the Death Star, Vader attempts to shoot down Luke's X-Wing fighter, but Han Solo intervenes and sends Vader's ship spiraling off course, allowing Luke to destroy the Death Star. In The Empire Strikes Back, Vader becomes obsessed with finding Luke and leads the Imperial attack on the Rebel base on Hoth. But the Rebels escape. While conversing with the Emperor, Vader convinces him that Luke would be valuable to the Empire if he could be turned to the dark side of the Force. Vader hires a group of bounty hunters to follow Luke and his friends, and negotiates with Bespin Administrator Lando Calrissian to set a trap for them so that Luke will follow them. After Han, Leia, Chewbacca, and C-3PO arrive, Vader tortures Han, freezes him in carbonite and gives him to bounty hunter Boba Fett. When Luke arrives, Vader defeats Luke in a lightsaber duel, severing his opponent's hand. Vader then tells Luke that he is his father, and asks Luke to help him overthrow the Emperor so they can rule the galaxy together. Horrified, Luke falls through an air shaft and escapes. Vader telepathically tells Luke that it is his destiny to join the dark side. In Return of the Jedi, Vader and the Emperor are supervising the second Death Star's construction. Unknown to Vader, the Emperor intends to replace him with Luke as his apprentice, having believed that there is still good in his father. Luke surrenders to Vader in hopes that he can be redeemed. Vader brings Luke to the Emperor on board the Death Star. While there, the Emperor implores Luke to join the dark side by appealing to the young Jedi's fear for his friends, which leads to Vader dueling with Luke once again. Realizing that Leia is Luke's twin sister, Vader threatens to turn her to the dark side if Luke will not submit. Furious, Luke overpowers Vader and severs his father's robotic hand. The Emperor orders Luke to kill Vader and take his place. Luke refuses, however, and the Emperor tortures him with Force lightning. Moved by Luke's pleas for help, Vader throws the Emperor down the Death Star's reactor core to his death. He is mortally wounded by the Emperor's lightning in the process. After asking Luke to remove his mask, the redeemed Anakin Skywalker tells his son that there was good in him after all before he dies. Luke escapes the Death Star with his father's remains, and ceremonially burns them in a pyre. Anakin's spirit reunites with those of Obi-Wan and Yoda to watch over Luke and his friends as the Rebels celebrate the Death Star's destruction and the fall of the Empire. Prequel trilogy. As Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin first appears in the prequel trilogy in Star Wars, Episode I, The Phantom Menace, which takes place 32 years before the original Star Wars. As a young slave living on the planet Tatooine with his mother Shmi, Anakin was conceived without a father and he can foresee the future. Also a gifted pilot and mechanic, Anakin has built his own protocol droid, C-3PO. Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn meets Anakin after making an emergency landing on Tatooine. Qui-Gon senses Anakin's strong connection to the Force, and becomes convinced that the boy is the chosen one of Jedi prophecy who will bring balance to the Force. After winning his freedom in a pod race, Anakin leaves for Coruscant to be trained as a Jedi, but is forced to leave Shmi behind. During the journey, Anakin forms a bond with Padmé Amidala, the young queen of Naboo. Qui-Gon asks the Jedi Council for permission to train Anakin, but they sense fear in the boy and refuse. Eventually, Anakin helps thwart the Trade Federation's invasion of Naboo by destroying their command ship. After Qui-Gon is killed in a lightsaber duel with Sith Lord Darth Maul, Obi-Wan promises to train Anakin, with the Council's reluctant approval. Anakin is Obi-Wan's Padawan apprentice in Star Wars Episode II, Attack of the Clones, which takes place 10 years after The Phantom Menace. Having rescued Padmé, who is now a senator, from an assassination attempt, Anakin travels with her to Naboo, where they fall in love. Sensing that SHMI is in pain, Anakin travels to Tatooine to rescue her. While there, Anakin learns she was kidnapped by Tusken Raiders. Anakin locates SHMI at the Tusken campsite, where she dies in his arms. Anakin, enraged, massacres the Tuskens and returns to the Lars homestead to bury SHMI. Anakin travels with Padmé to Geonosis to rescue Obi-Wan from Sith Lord Count Dooku, Qui-Gon's old master and leader of the Separatists, a conspiracy of star systems bent on seceding from the Galactic Republic. Dooku captures them, however, and sentences them to death. However, a cadre of Jedi arrives with the Kaminoan clone army to halt their executions. Obi-Wan and Anakin confront Dooku during the ensuing battle, but the Sith Lord beats them both in a lightsaber duel and severs Anakin's arm. Yoda intervenes and rescues the Jedi. By the end of the film, Anakin is fitted with a robotic arm and marries Padmé in secret. In Star Wars Episode III, Revenge of the Sith, set 3 years after Attack of the Clones, Anakin is now a Jedi Knight and a hero of the Clone Wars. He and Obi-Wan lead a mission to rescue Palpatine from Separatist Commander General Grievous on board his starship. When the Jedi encounter Dooku, Anakin subdues the Sith Lord, and on Palpatine's urging, kills him in cold blood. They rescue Palpatine and return to Coruscant, where Anakin learns that Padmé is pregnant. Anakin has visions of Padmé dying in childbirth, and becomes determined to prevent them from coming true. Palpatine tells Anakin that the dark side holds the power to cheat death, and eventually reveals that he is the Sith Lord Darth Sidious. Although Anakin informs Jedi Master Mace Windu of Palpatine's treachery, he follows Windu to make sure Palpatine is captured alive. When he realizes that Windu is going to kill Palpatine, Anakin intervenes on the Sith Lord's behalf, allowing Palpatine to finish Windu to death. Desperate to save Padmé, Anakin pledges himself to the dark side, and becomes Palpatine's Sith apprentice Darth Vader. On Palpatine's command, Vader leads a legion of clones to kill everyone at the Jedi Temple, and massacres the remaining Separatist leaders hiding on the volcanic planet Mustafar. Padmé confronts Vader and implores him to abandon the dark side, but Vader refuses. When Obi-Wan disembarks from Padmé's ship, Vader accuses his wife of conspiring against him, and uses the Force to choke her into unconsciousness in a fit of rage. After a long and ferocious lightsaber duel, Obi-Wan defeats Vader, severing his legs and arm and leaving him at the bank of a lava river where he is horribly burned. Palpatine finds Vader and takes him back to Coruscant, where his apprentice's mutilated body is treated and covered in the black armored suit first depicted in the original trilogy. When Vader asks for Padmé, Palpatine explains to him that he killed Padmé in his anger. Vader screams in agony, his spirit broken. By the end of the film, Vader supervises the construction of the first Death Star alongside Palpatine and Wilhuff Tarkin. The Clone Wars. In the 2008 film The Clone Wars, Yoda assigns Ahsoka Tano as Anakin's Padawan apprentice to teach him a greater sense of responsibility, and Anakin is initially frustrated by this decision. Their early interactions are playfully contentious, with Anakin calling her Snips for her snippy attitude, and Ahsoka calling him Sky Guy as a pun on his surname. After earning Anakin's respect during a dangerous mission, Ahsoka joins him on a quest to rescue Jabba the Hutt's infant son. Her impetuousness both annoys and endears her to her master, and, by the end of the film, Anakin reveals a newfound affection for his apprentice. Anthology films. Vader appears in the first anthology film Rogue One, played by Spencer Wilding and Daniel Napris, with James Earl Jones once again voicing the character. In this film, Vader meets with Imperial weapons engineer Orson Krennic, who asks him for an audience with the Emperor regarding the theft of the Death Star's technical plans. Vader refuses, however, and uses the Force to choke him as a way of putting him in his place. At the end of the film, Vader boards the disabled Rebel flagship Profundity with a cadre of Imperial stormtroopers, and kills several Rebel soldiers as he attempts to recover the plans. However, the Alderaanian blockade runner Tantive IV escapes with the plans, setting the stage for the events of A New Hope. Virtual reality film. In the 2015 Star Wars Celebration, it was announced David S. Goyer is helping to develop a virtual reality film based on Darth Vader. It is said that the audience as visitor will be able to walk, pick up, push and open things, and might even have some effect in the story. The Clone Wars. Anakin is a lead character in all seasons of The Clone Wars. As a Jedi Knight, he goes on several missions with both Obi-Wan and Ahsoka throughout the war. While continuing to teach Ahsoka the ways of the Jedi, Anakin has developed a close bond with her, and they take risks to protect or save one another. Some of Anakin's actions taken out of concern for Ahsoka violate the Jedi Code, such as torturing prisoners who may know her location when she goes missing. During the third season, Anakin experiences a vision of his future as Darth Vader. Rebels. Darth Vader is a recurring character in the first season of Star Wars Rebels, which takes place 14 years after the Clone Wars concludes. Vader leads a squadron of Force-sensitive Imperial Inquisitors who are actively searching for and killing any remaining Jedi and Force-sensitive children. In the finale of the first season, Vader discovers that Ahsoka has joined the Rebel Alliance, and the Emperor orders him to hunt her down. In the second season, Ahsoka is overwhelmed to recognize Anakin under a layer of hate in Darth Vader. Later in the season, Ahsoka has a vision in which Anakin blames her for allowing him to fall to the dark side. In the season finale, Ahsoka duels with her former master inside a Sith temple, allowing her friends to escape Vader and the temple's destruction. As the episode concludes, Vader escapes from the temple's ruins. Filoni said that it was an elected decision not to feature Vader for the third season. Forces of Destiny. Anakin will appear in the upcoming micro-series Star Wars: Forces of Destiny, voiced again by Matt Lanter. Comics. In 2015, Marvel released a 25-issue series called Darth Vader, which focused on the title character in the aftermath of the destruction of the Death Star, as well as his life after learning about the existence of his son. The series happens parallel to the comic series Star Wars, and has a crossover with it titled Vader Down. The Obi-Wan and Anakin 5-issue mini-series written by Charles Soule depicts the lives of both Jedi between The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. At New York Comic Con 2015, Dan Brooks of StarWars.com held an interview with Soule. who described the story as pretty unexplored territory. A second series named exactly as the previous series, Darth Vader, will also written by Charles Soule, and will start seconds after Vader wakes up for the first time in his black suit and yells, "No!" at the end of the film Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. The series will focus on exploring the title character's reaction to Padmé's death, his adjustment to his mechanical suit, how he creates his red lightsaber, as well as how he hunts Jedi, and the beginning of the Inquisitor program shown in the animated series Star Wars Rebels. Star Wars canon literature. Star Wars: Lords of the Sith was one of the first 4 canon novels to be released in 2014 and 2015. In Lords of the Sith, Vader and Palpatine find themselves hunted by revolutionaries on the Twi'lek planet Ryloth. Legends. In April 2014, most of the licensed Star Wars novels and comics produced since the originating 1977 film Star Wars were rebranded by Lucasfilm as Star Wars Legends and declared non-canon to the franchise. Star Wars: Clone Wars microseries. Anakin is a lead character in all 3 seasons of the Clone Wars microseries, which takes place 4 months after the conclusion of Attack of the Clones. Anakin becomes a Jedi Knight and is quickly promoted to a general of the Republic's clone army, due in part to Palpatine's influence. Among other missions, he fights a duel with Dark Jedi Asa J.J. Ventress, helps Obi-Wan capture a Separatist-controlled fortress, and rescues Jedi Master Seize Tian during a space battle. During the 3rd season, Anakin frees the planet Nelvaan from Separatist control and sees a cryptic vision of his future as Darth Vader. In the season finale, Anakin and Obi-Wan go on a mission to rescue Palpatine from General Grievous, leading to the opening of Revenge of the Sith. Series creator and director Genndy Tartakovsky admitted that he was bothered that Lucasfilm declared Clone Wars non-canon, but said that he was proud of what he did and how much the microseries and the characters influenced later works. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.